defendant pled guilty to count 1, operating a vehicle while under the influence of alcohol, a drug of abuse, or a combination of them, a felony of the 4th degree in violation of revised code section 4511.19A1F, and count 4, operating a vehicle while under the influence of alcohol, a drug of abuse, or a combination of them, a felony of the 4th degree in violation of revised code section 4511.19A2. The court found the defendant guilty and ordered a pre-sentence investigation and report, as well as a drug and alcohol evaluation. The state has had the opportunity to review those reports and is prepared to proceed with sentencing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn.
Judge, at this time we would ask that you consider sentencing him to 120 days local incarceration. Billy's got an alcohol problem. Started when he was in the Air Force. He had it under control for a while, and then he didn't have it under control. A couple of years ago, I sent him to Stella Maris, where he thrived. He stayed sober for 2 years until this incident, and obviously he doesn't have it under control, Judge. He knows how to stay sober. He knows what to do and how to do it. If he could do the jail treatment program and then have some time to get his head straight and commit to this, it would be great. He's been going to AA. He's working the steps. Even though this has happened, Judge, I've got calls from numerous people who support him, including people in AA and out of AA. He's got some job opportunities if you let him do this when he gets out, and he's committed to live a life of sobriety, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Grudowitz, what do you want to tell me before I impose sentence?
Go ahead. Stand up.
Yes, Your Honor. I understand I do have an alcohol problem, as my past shows it. Since going to Stella, I put a little over 2 years of sobriety, learned it, understood it. I had a slip up. I know it defines who I am, but I'm looking forward to make that change again and have sobriety for the rest of my future.
Okay, so what happened here?
On the incident,
What led to the break in your sobriety?
I just lost control, and instead of reaching out to people that support me, said sponsor, I just gave in instead of going with the steps that I've learned.
Why do you suppose that was? That you didn't go with what you learned?
Because I wasn't thinking clearly. I let.
So how does this change then going forward? Assume that you go out there, you do what you got to do, you get back involved in the program, you utilize what you learned. What's the trigger you're looking out for to stop doing the stuff you're supposed to be doing?
Change of scenery and just more support around me. Being more determined with a different career. Now, especially with this hanging over my head, it can only get worse.
What do you mean?
Like having a felony on a record, that's a life changer. So having that is, I guess you could say, motivation, but also my motivation to stay sober, to stay out of this.
Well, what was the thing that interrupted your life that made you turn back to the alcohol?
It was a lead up of, one was a hard day at work. The relationship that I was in kind of broke me down, and it just led me to making a bad decision that if I could go back in time, I definitely wouldn't have done.
All right. So at the time you were a machinist at Lincoln?
Correct.
Okay. How old are you? 29?
Yes, Your Honor.
So my guess is throughout your life you're going to have hard days at work, right? You're going to have great days and you're going to have shitty days, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're going to have relationship problems, whether it's with a woman, a friend of yours, maybe your father, right? Conflict happens all the time. So the question is why you didn't turn to what you knew worked when something got rough. That's the question, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So how do you change that dynamic for the next time this happens?
Being more involved with the sponsor.
How long had you had the sponsor?
2 years.
Is there a reason you didn't utilize the sponsor?
No, Your Honor.
Those are the things you got to figure out, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
How long had you been working at Lincoln?
2 years.
It seems like that type of work is pretty good work, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Seems like that's the kind of work that you'll always be able to get, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that the kind of work you're going to continue to do?
If I can, yes, Your Honor. If not, I was looking to start a business with the approval after after the jail time and treatment, whatever's after, to have probation transferred down there
To where?
to Cape Coral, Florida,
Okay, to do what?
to start a canvas and upholstery business.
What made you think of doing that?
Within this year, I thought of it. My father's friend, our mechanic, he kind of started getting into it. I like doing it, and it could be a good career.
And having your own business adds a whole new line of stressors, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, anything else you want to say?
Just that if I was able to move down there, I would have a house to live with, which would be my dad's friend, who basically I grew up with. He's kind of like a second father to me, and he's in the program. He would definitely keep me on a straight and narrow if allowed.
All right, thank you. Ms. Hronik?
Thank you, Your Honor. State is going to join in defense's recommendation for community control, ask that the mandatory 120 days be imposed to include the jail treatment program and then to include treatment afterwards. Thank you.
All right, I've looked at the pre-sentence report and the drug and alcohol evaluation. I've listened to you, listened to counsel, considered all the provisions on 29, 29, 11, 12, and 13. I'm going to place you on community control for 3 years. You're going to serve 122 days in the Lake County Jail with credit for 2. The last 30 of those days will be in the jail treatment program. And you're to complete that and follow all the recommendations. You're to have no drugs or alcohol with screens. You're to attend at least 4 AA meetings a week and obtain and maintain a sponsor. You're to see only 1 doctor, 1 dentist, and 1 pharmacy for any prescription medication. You're to take your medication only as is prescribed, and you're going to sign releases for probation. You're going to complete the decision points program. And follow those recommendations. Pay the costs and supervision fees. Ms. Crook, is there any other terms?
No, Your Honor.
You understand all the terms?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you do not comply and complete all these terms, then the state will file a motion to terminate your community control, and if I find you violated, I'll send you to prison for 30 months. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then when you get out, you might be on post-release control for up to 2 years under the parole authority. If you are placed on post-release control, they will impose conditions on you. If you violate their conditions, they could send you back to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. If your violation's a new felony, you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for the violation, the maximum of which is the greater of 12 months or the time left under post-release control. We'll impose a fine of $1,350 and a 3-year driver's license suspension going back to June 27th of '24. Any other mandatories, Ms. Hronik?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Okay. So, you know what to do. You've known what to do. So you're gonna hear the same thing again. But you've got to, I mean, it all comes down to whether you want to do it or not every day, right? Isn't that the thing? Every day?
Yes, Your Honor, one day at a time.
Pardon me, Your Honor, I apologize. I believe that there were 2 counts that were pled to, so the mandatory fine would be $2,700, and he would be facing 60 months in prison if he violated.
All right, so that, the terms of the community control are concurrent. But a $2,700 fine because of the 2 charges and 60 months potentially. So you've really ratcheted up the penalty here. So this is your 4th one, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you're wading in treacherous territory. And as you can imagine, it don't get any better from here. It only gets worse.
Correct.
So you got to figure it out as you go along each day.
Yes, Your
Anything
Honor.
else, Ms. Hronik?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Quinn, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we are adjourned then.
Thank you.
Are you